Hey guys, welcome back to the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast, episode 48. I'm Rob, one half of the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast, and today, as always, I am joined by the co-host of the show, the run-scoring, wicket-taking, ball-catching machine, co-host of the show, Rich.
I'm not so sure I'm any of those anymore, mate. It's a couple of weeks since I scored any runs and took some wickets, so yeah. Morning anyway, how's it going, mate? You
Good
all right?
morning. Yeah, we're great. I'm more interested in to see what's gone on in the last 2 weeks. You've gone from the key all-rounder of the team and mopping up the tail.
Yeah, we've kind of run out of gas this season. We've just missed out. We lost the game a couple of weeks ago, which meant that we lost to the top of the table, should I add. So it meant that we couldn't get promoted anymore. So that's it. Not interested in that, mate. It's all business for me. So that's it. No chance of getting the big deal, going up. So that's it. I'm just easing off until the end of the season. A few other bits have gone off in background as well, which I won't go into.
Yeah.
But one or two people will know what I'm talking about. I'm kind of ready for football season now, I'll be honest with you.
Okay. In other words, it's starting to get a bit cold in England, and it's time to have a beer and a Bovril in the stands.
Yes, exactly. We did play a lovely game though at the weekend, mate, didn't we? We played a nice memorial game for a couple of old legends that did a lot down the cricket club. A certain Senior Taylor and a chap called Nick Forbes as well. So I did play in that. The Whites have got a little bit too muddy after that. So yeah, I'm ready to put the bag in the loft. But it was nice to play that game, and hopefully that'll see me through. And but yeah, there's plenty of cricket still to watch, isn't there? It's a weird long kind of back end of the summer. This year for county cricket, championship cricket, and obviously international cricket. So, I might be looking forward to the football season from my point of view, but still sat watching TV, watching test matches. That's what it's all about now.
It is quite strange. We're going into September, and there's still 2 full test matches. There's probably about 3 innings of batting for England to go on, but there's actually 10 days of cricket scheduled.
Yeah, exactly. There's loads coming up, Steve. I think the middle of September is the T20 finals day, which I'm sure that's usually the middle of August. So the calendar is a little bit askew this year, isn't it? So, but I'm glad. It's kind of nice. It just keeps a little bit of cricket ticking over, doesn't it? Before whatever the winter brings us.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. And today we're going to take a quick look at the third test. Not too long, but what the hell is going on with this England batting lineup, and then. It's so hard. There are so many variables being thrown at us by the England selectors. You could have Bradman averaging 99, and he might not get a call up for this England Test team, even though we're getting bowled out in a session. We're going to talk through this England 4th Test team, Rich. Yeah, that's going to take some bone picking, isn't it? It definitely is. But let's roll the way back. Let's go all the way back to England versus India in this third test, because we sat down before the third test and we both predicted an England victory, saying that India were on the knees and they were there for the taking, and we can go and rest Broad and Anderson.
They were, though. This is the bad thing, isn't it? I mean, now with a bit of hindsight, people are now saying, well, actually, the first test was close. Yeah, England walked the second test. But India have walked the third test, and it was a massive win for India. They won by 203 runs, hammering. I think we can call that, can't we?
Yep.
An absolute hammering. But I think we were right to say that we predicted England to win the third test. There's no way after that second test you could have called for anything other, unless you were a very, very dedicated and loyal Indian cricket fan. And fair play to you for sticking with them. India made a couple of changes, which we kind of bounced back and forth, didn't we? Rishabh Pant, he did get the call up ahead of Dinesh Karthik. He played pretty well, actually, and they also just shuffled the top of the order. Shikhar Dhawan was recalled after being dropped after the first test. Murali Vijay was basically dropped and then seemingly stuck on an aeroplane. So, I mean, I thought he got a pretty good ball in the second test in one of the innings, but obviously the Indian selectors weren't particularly amused by him. So that were the 2 changes for India. And as for England, Mr. Stoke, hot on the heels of his court appearance, the not guilty court appearance, he came back into the team. Sam Curran, I think we can all agree that Sam Curran was very, very harshly dropped.
Yes.
In this one. So obviously, I think Stokes, you could argue he deserved to be back in, one of the better players. But yeah, very, very tough on Sam Curran to be dropped. But that was the selection. Was there any surprises for you in those selections, Rob?
Well, he had a really good game in this third test, and we'll get into it. But I was really surprised that Hardik Pandya kept his space in that team. I really did.
Yeah, that's a fair call.
He was one that I was calling to be called from the team, going, he's not quite ready. Also, Rahane, one of the pillars of the Indian team. I was like, I'm not quite sure about him in this top 6. Well, it just goes to show how much My predictions, if I was to put on a cricket accumulator, I would never win.
No, but saying that, with the way selection is these days, you've got no idea, have you? I mean, it's left field, isn't it? Really, half the time you're just pulling things off a shelf blindly. But Rahane, there was definitely an argument for him to be dropped. I think that's as simple as that. You've got other lads in the squad that have scored runs. Why not give them a shot when things are going wrong? But it's good to see sometimes that Ravi Shastri, Virat Kohli, etc. have got faith in some of these boys that have done it for him over a long period of time. So good on them. They held their nerve. They kept with a Rahane type figure, and yet he did repay them, especially in the first inning. So let's just quickly scroll through the game as it went. As I say, India won by 203 runs. They batted first. Now, it was one of those days, wasn't it? England won the toss. They decided to have a field. Now, I imagine that was probably on the back of them. The tails were up. They'd just hammered India in the second test. Put them in, roll them out, get this done sharpish. Hindsight's a great thing, but on a place like Trent Bridge, it might be linked with a lot of run scoring in one day cricket. But in a Test match, it's it's not. I don't know. It's an even track. I think it's not too favourable for the bowlers. It's not too favourable for the batsmen. So you win the toss on a game like this. I would have preferred England to have battered India out of the series in the first innings and win the game almost from that first innings, which is pretty much what India did. So 329 in the first innings, which I thought was a pretty good score. Virat Kohli top scored with 97. I'm sorry, that was pretty funny. When he got out on 97, Adil Rashid, he got a turner, he got a big turner, and Stokes took the catch. So I did find that quite amusing. I'm sorry, but yeah, Kohli top scored 97, Rahane 81. What was nice to see as well was everybody contributed all the way down to Rishabh Pant 24. He looked okay on his debut. Shikhar Dhawan 35 at the top, KL Rahul 23 his fellow opener. They put on 60 as the opening partnership. They did lose 2 wickets quickly at the top, which will be frustrating. But it was a pretty good card, really. I thought everyone played pretty well. As for England, 3 wickets apiece for Jimmy A and Stuart Broad, and 3 wickets also for Chris Wokes, he's starting to really look like he's re-establishing himself into the international arena. So, anything you want to focus on in that first innings, Rob?
Yeah, good innings by India. They all chipped in, but from England's point of view, they'll see it as a bit of a missed opportunity. This India team were there for the taking, and 2 men, Kohli and Rahane, without their scores in this team, you'd probably look at it and go, wow, that's a real failure. No one got past 50, no one went on, but just solid. 160 runs they put on in about 40 overs at a decent lick, so both batted really well. One thing that I will point out, Dhawan and KL Rahul, they might not have got massive scores, 35, 23. They batted almost 20 overs in an hour and a half against that new ball against Jimmy and Brody, which is a massive bonus for this Indian team, not to be chasing the tails and being 2 or 3 down and then Kohli trying to work out who's going to be left for him to bat with. So that I feel that was possibly the biggest change to the Indian lineup. They really started well.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the runs is one part of the conversation for the openers, isn't it? Or for the top 3 for India and for England, come to think of it. But really, it's those balls faced, isn't it? And like you said, 1 for 60 after 18.4 overs. That's important. See Jimmy A's first spell off, see Brody's first spell off. Get yourself onto the next change bowler. So it was exceptional, really. Great, gritty turnaround from India, I thought. Yep. Virat Kohli just keeps on going. I think we had a prediction of 750 runs from Rivlud, didn't we? I can't imagine he's too far off Virat Kohli at the moment. So hell of a prediction that one was. So we move on to England's first innings. This is like day and night, isn't it? So we're into the second day. England get into bat. We've got about 50 on the board, Rob. Was that what we were saying?
Yeah, we got to 50 for none and we went into lunch on day 2. Feeling good.
Had a couple of sandwiches, probably had the crust cut off for them.
Bit of Battenberg.
Yeah, bit of modern day pasta, which I always find a bit controversial in a cricket tea. Just personal perspective. But yeah, I can imagine I was enjoying the sandwiches, thinking, lads, this is all right. Good batting deck. We probably should have batted first, but 50 for none, happy days. And then we lose 10 wickets in a session for the 3rd time in about 3 years, is it? And then what's the great stat? Was it the last time we did it was about 1938, wasn't it? Or something ridiculous. Probably people just realised war had been declared. So they had to quickly give the wickets away and finish the game. And then it's happened about 3 times in the last few years. It's embarrassing. Just It just defies logic that England can be so brittle. Top scorer Joss Butler batting down all the way down there at number 7 still. It was 54 for 1. Sorry, 54 for none. 11.5, 11 point whatever overs, and then Alistair Cook was dismissed at the end of the over. 54 for 1. Jennings went at the same score. Pope went not long after. Root a little bit after. It was just a procession. And just people giving wickets away. Credit to the India bowlers. Shami bowled pretty well. 2 for 37 for Bumrah. Him coming back in made a huge difference. Forgot to mention that. 2 for 32 for Ishan Sharma. We only got 1 over out of Ravichandran. He's got a bit of an issue with his, was it hip, I think it was. But Hardik Pandya, that's the man you were talking about, Rob. 5 for 28, his first 5 for in Test cricket. Suddenly looking like an international all-rounder. He bowled brilliantly. Rishabh Pant as well, hat tip to him. Is it 5 catches on debut for him after I think shelling one early on as well. so he played well. India played well. They got the foot on the throat of England, but England, you've got to say, chucked it away in that session.
Oh, it was an absolute bottle job of an effort by England to get bowled out 10 wickets in 28 overs is pretty ropey, especially midway through second day when the new ball shine is gone because you're 50 for none and you've batted time. I find it very hard to fathom at times just how poor some of the shot selections is. And there's one thing that really strikes me when I look at this scorecard, Rich, and it's not what you're going to expect going, oh my God, there's 10 wickets in a session. Mm-hmm. It's the strike rate of the batsman. Now, don't get me wrong, if it's hard in Test cricket, there are 5 days to play, and you look at how Test cricket used to be played before T20 came around, and people will be gritty. People will get stuck in. Dean Elgar, there's the name we always bring up on the podcast. You will get my wicket over my dead body, and he'll bat at a 25% strike rate for a long period of time, and he's quite happy to do that and get himself in. Hashim Amla, he breaks it down into 15-minute blocks, and he goes, every 15 minutes this is going to get slightly easier. If I look at the strike rate of these batsmen, Cook, 70 strike rate for Alistair Cook, 62 for Jennings, 55 for Root, 45 for Pope, 35 for Bairstow, 76 for Stokes, and then we're into the tail. So you can see there's a need to want to put bat on ball all the time for this England team. And sure, they've got to try something different because they've been failing for a while. But this output and going, I need to revert to bat on ball and see ball, hit ball, it just doesn't work for me at this level. You need to be stronger and you need to have a better technique in the Test match game to be able to survive. And I really just didn't see it from this top 6.
No, not at all. And you say you want to see him try something different. How about not get bowled out in a session? That'd be something different, wouldn't it?
It would.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that innings. You just want to brush it off and go, okay, surely it got better, which it did, thankfully. But obviously, they'd lost the game by T on the second day.
Yeah.
There's no way you dig out this. You going into the second innings, India are about to pick up the bats again, strap the pads on, 168 lead. You've already got a lead. You've almost got enough to nearly to bowl England out. Yeah. With 161 dismissal in the first innings for England. So it's just it's ordinary at best, isn't it? I don't really understand. Big pressure was on Cook and Jennings going into the second innings for England as well. What I want to say is as well, India sharp slip catch and slap, nicks behind. Pant was tidy. KL Rahul, big credit to him. 3 catches in the innings. This is what wins Test matches. England have been throwing the ball left, right, and centre. Just poor. I mean, I'm sure you'll go on to that in a minute, Rob. I know it's got to be in your bonnet about that one. So, but we'll take on to the second innings. Like we say, India 168 lead going in. Again, nice opening partnership. Only 11.2 overs this time, but 60 for 1 at the fall of the first wicket. KL Rahul went. Dhawan went about 10 overs later, 111 on the board. So a decent top 3 again. 44 for Dhawan, 36 for Rahul, and Pujara 72. Excellent innings of him. He batted alongside Virat Kohli, and Kohli did get over the nervous 90s this time. Can't really criticise his conversion rate, can we?
No,
probably the best in world cricket. But he got 103. So again, for the second time this series, dead on 200 runs in a Test match. Yeah. Chris Wokes just snaffled him, didn't he? Got an LBW this time. Hardik Pandya, 52 not out, run a ball 50 in the second innings. So he's had himself a hell of an all-round performance in this game. Rishabh Pant, unfortunately, only got 1, but Rahani 29 as well, so he's had a pretty good test. They declared 352 for 710 overs, ground the England attack down, didn't they? Really forced them to really, stay out there a long time. You look at the over, 22 overs for Jimmy A, 22 for Wokes, 20 for Stokes, 27 for Rashid, and 16 for Broad. That's knackering out England bowlers, isn't it? I was quite pleased in a way to see India do that, because that's what I would want to do as a captain. So 3 for 101 for Rashid, bowled pretty well in this test match. 2 for 68 for Stokes, and 1 wicket apiece for Anderson and Wokes. No wicket for Broad. Root had a little twirl but didn't do anything. So England, a massive hole. There's no way in the world they're winning this test match. Can they get a draw out of it? Probably not. But they did. Make a better fist of it, didn't they? In the fourth innings of the game. Just before the end of play, England had a sticky spell, Cook and Jennings, but they saw it off easily. Jennings cruised along to about, I can't remember, it was 15, 17 or whatever it was. And we were all set up for the fourth day and see what England can bring.
Yep, England, they started all right, but it's still the same. And we're going to get into the failings of this second innings, but I still look at it and I'm like, the top six still doesn't work. It's fundamentally broken, and the players in it aren't performing. And hi, we're going to play Keith and Jennings again.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I was lucky enough to get a ticket for the fourth day. Notts County Board gave a load away to the local clubs because I hadn't planned on going to any cricket this year. But it was nice to get across to Trent Bridge. But you sit there, you get your first sandwich out, you're having your early cup of tea, and then suddenly Keaton Jennings nicks off, caught behind. Does he need to play at that one? Probably not. Ball's going across him. Doesn't really need to play at it, but he does. Alistair Cook goes not long after. Root goes not long after. On the same, as soon as that wicket's gone. Right. Unbelievably, Ollie Pope goes after the widest one you've ever seen. I think the ball was probably going to about second slip. Yeah, might be exaggerating, but it was a horrible, horrible shot. I know he's only a young fella. He has batted at 6 for Surrey. He's never batted this early in an innings in first class cricket, apparently. I'm sure he's faced a new ball, but that was the second new ball when Surrey have probably got about 450 on the board. So he's really gone and chased one, and he was just horrified of himself as he walked off. Yeah. So obviously just a brain fart moment for Ollie Pope. But what that did do then at that point is it brought Stokes together with Jos Buttler. Now, those boys batted brilliantly. They put on 170. Yep. And they batted all the way through the afternoon session. Stokes, this is your strike rate you're talking about, Rob. Stokes, 62 off 187 balls, 33 strike rate.
Perfect.
That's what we want. I mean, Root was trying. He was only a 32 strike rate. Jos Buttler, he was a little bit quicker at 60, and he did get himself his maiden test century, 106 off 176 before. I thought he was a little bit harshly judged LBW. It did go with umpire's call. He wasn't offering a shot outside off stump. The ball, hit him in the pad. And it was only just clipping the stump. It had a long way to travel, and he was a long way outside. So I thought it was a bit of a guess from the umpire, in my opinion. But it was a correct decision in the end, so you can't argue too much. Just a bit frustrating. And then Stokes went afterwards as well, and they were gutted, really. And then it was just one of those. It looked like the game was going to be over very quickly afterwards. Bairstow, with his broken digit, he came out to bat surprisingly, but he was done first ball. Didn't even get a layer nick on it, so that didn't hurt his finger. Wokes went pretty quick after. Bumrah, brilliant spell. Took out Buttler, Bairstow, and Wokes and Broad. Yeah. But Rashid and Broad, they saw it through till the end of the day. Towards the end of the day, sorry. I forget now. I'd left already. Broad, he'd just been dismissed at the end of the day, hadn't he? Jimmy Anderson was there.
Yeah, 9 down at the end of the day.
That's it. And I think it took about, what was it, that few overs, 2 or 3 overs on the fifth day, which was quite irritating for everybody involved, I'm sure. Before India wrapped it up. 5 for 85 for Bumrah. I thought he was mightily impressive with the ball. The whole of the India attack was, to be fair, but I really, really was impressed with Bumrah. We've been talking about how much they've missed him, and he just looked sensational. It's really interesting seeing him in the flesh. Well, you see it on TV, it looks like he's got a bit of a run-up. He hasn't got a run-up. I've seen spinners with longer run-ups. He might walk in and stutter in a little bit from a distance, but his actual run-up is nothing. Yeah. And to say that the pace he generates from that, he's an incredible talent. I'm glad nobody, as he was growing up, grabbed hold of him and said, no, you're bowling all wrong, son. You need to do it like this. Let him bowl how he wants, just like Malinga, isn't it? It's a joy to watch someone like Bumrah in full flow.
Yeah, made a big difference to this Indian lineup. They looked really, really threatening all the time. It made Ashwin even more threatening when he had a ball, because oh wow, there's another good seamer at the other end. It's not Hardik Pandya coming on and just bowling a few overs of military medium, who stepped up his game and took 5 for in that first innings. The bowling, very similar to England, hasn't been the failing for India being 2-0 down going into this series, but having Bumrah is a real key card. It's like us having Anderson in the team. It makes a big difference. The big difference and turnaround is India's ability to bounce back and work out how to play these English conditions, and they did it superbly at Trent Bridge in both innings. People starting to support Virat Kohli. Pujara batted well, Rahane batted well. Both openers kind of got themselves in both innings. They got through that new ball-ish. 60 in the second innings they managed to put on, and they put on 60 in the first innings. So if England would cry out for an opening partnership of 60, just once, it would make a huge difference. And that's why India won. Yeah, they bowled better, but also slip catching, but also it's how their batsmen are. They're coming to the party. Ian Botham quote: "They are coming to the party, and they're going to make it a very difficult last 2 Test matches."
Yeah, just great turnaround, unbelievable effort, I think, from India to turn it around from that second Test. And like people have been saying, now we look at the 3 Test matches. It's 2-1 to England, but momentum is with India going into the 4th Test. First Test was relatively close. Second Test was a blowout by England. Third Test was a blowout by India. Suddenly, this series looks close. This is what we wanted. This is what we expected. India, they didn't have the best red ball warm-up. They'd been in England a while, but they were playing some white ball cricket. They played against Ireland, etc. But red ball, they didn't have a proper warm-up with. International cricket teams have got to sort this out. I know there's a lot of cricket being played, but they have to sort this out. Otherwise, you will not get people performing overseas. If this was a 3-match series, like most would be these days, England have won the series. Yeah. But it's a 5-match series, and now India are properly in this. And before we won't do, obviously, we'll do predictions at the end. This is a tough one to look past India at the minute with the way they've got that momentum going into the fourth Test. So let's look forward then, Rob. Let's look at the forward. Shall we start with the India squad? I think I'd like to, because there's quite a few changes here. Obviously, the England squad is plenty to talk about, but let's talk about the team in possession of the momentum. Let's say so. Going into the 4th Test, Murali Vijay is no longer in the squad. He's gone. Also, Kuldeep Yadav, he's been omitted from the squad for the 4th and 5th Test. No Bhuvaneshwar Kumar called up. Sadly, he is with the A squad. He's been playing in a quadrangle tournament or something competition in South Africa. Did get three wickets though, but he's not been named. But I wonder if they'll stick him on a flight for maybe the 5th Test. Anyway, so we've got obviously the 11 that finished the 3rd Test. I think the expectation is that they'll stay with that. But the interesting names that they've called up, PP Shaw, the 18-year-old opening batsman, and Hanamu Vihari, 24-year-old right-hand bat. The 2 guys that have been selected, I think that's really interesting. It would be nice to see one of those guys get a game, wouldn't it? Exciting talent. But yeah, it's suddenly a more interesting looking squad, especially with Rishabh Pant now in that first 11 as well. Yeah,
very, very happy to see PP Shaw in. I've made a couple of comments about how highly I rate him. He's done very well for India A when he's been playing in games there. And, the man averages 57 already in first-class cricket, and he's 18 years old. So plenty of talent. And it wouldn't surprise me if he makes an appearance as opener. I'm not quite sure who for. Maybe Rahul might drop out and go with Dhawan and the young lad. But it's
a tough one.
It's hard to know what changes they make, because as soon as you get on a roll and you're in a position where you're winning Test matches, it makes it very hard to change. And the same with Vihari coming into the lineup, right? The guy's an excellent player, got the highest first-class record in terms of average in the world, pretty much. But where does it come in now if you've got Pujara who's starting to bat well, Rahane, the pillar, is batting well, and Virat Kohli, the king, is batting well? It makes it very hard for him to come in, but it's good for them to be around the team. So I don't know what changes, if any, will come into this team. I think PP Shaw may come in as opener, but I don't think Vihari will get a start this game.
From an English point of view, one of the big issues, apart from obviously getting bowled out in sessions, is the amount of drop catches.
Yeah,
KL Rahul caught like a demon in that Test match. So I think, how many runs could you say that he saved them? I think India will go unchanged personally, but I just like the look of the squad now. We spoke about it going into this series. India are in such a lucky position at the minute, whether it's luck, judgment, whatever, but they're in a great position at the minute with some of the talent they've got coming through the ranks, if you like. I like to see these young fellas in the squad. This is what India need to be doing. They need to be making sure that they're getting these lads into the squad and through into that starting lineup and slowly just rotating. Yes, they are number one team in the world, but we've seen it too many times with teams, number one in the world, and then half the team retires nearly at the same time. You've got to just slowly evolve this team from one to another. And getting these young fellas in will mean that India will stay, give or take, number one in the world for a long time if they can do it right. But I think they do go unchanged unless they want to freshen up the bowling attack, perhaps, just for the fact that they have been relatively unchanged apart from Bumrah for the last few tests. So that's India. Like I say, Kumar, he's on his way back. Why on earth they played him in that third ODI, I still don't understand. He might have been fit for this whole series, but that's by the by. England, 14-man squad. Johnny Bairstow, he's got a broken digit, hasn't he? One of his fingers, but he was kept in the squad as a batsman, and he does start. So we have the starting 11. Obviously, they played this morning. It goes Cook, Jennings, Root stays at number 3. Johnny Bairstow is up at number 4 as a specialist batsman. Ben Stokes, it looks like, will slot in at 5, and then it's Josh Buttler, the wicketkeeper. Moeen Ali, 6 or 7. We don't know how those two are going to shake out. Sam Curran is recalled at number 8. Adil Rashid keeps his place, going with the 2 spinners, and then it's obviously the 10 and 11 of Broad and Anderson. The players missing out, Ollie Pope, he's dropped out after 2 test matches. I think he looks a talent. He looks like he wants bat on ball. Batting him at 4 rather than at 6 was obviously, looks like in hindsight, a bit of a mistake. And then whether or not the selection, yes, he was in good form, but I just wonder, the slightly disjointed, don't really know what the plan is, selection policies at the moment. Not sure if Pope was maybe just a bit of an early selection in his life, but I'm sure we'll see more of him. Chris Wokes misses out with a thigh strain. The other man that was selected in the squad, which made me spit my cornflakes out when I saw it announced, was James Vince. He's already had 2 chances, but Ed Smith does like the look of him. This is a quote from Ed Smith. Let me just find this for a second. Vince, he's shown that when he plays well, boy, does he look a test player. So is a test player getting to 24 and then nicking off? We don't want, in my opinion, Vince has played well. Vince has played pretty well recently. He did bloody well against Notts, so this is not why I'm getting grumpy about this. But James Vince is a hell of a talented player. We've seen plenty of these in county cricket that go and score a ton of runs in county, but we don't want another player like James Vince in this squad at the minute. We're giving enough nicks. We're chasing enough wide ones. We need someone with a bit of grit at the top of the order, as we spoke about, the Elgar-esque sort of opening batsman. Maybe bringing a third opening batsman to bat in 3. Then you've got a Cook, Jennings, whoever the other opener is, to bat in that top 3. Root goes down to 4. Suddenly, hopefully, you are a better setup. You're a stronger setup, and you're ready to replace one of these openers as and when they kind of need to be if they keep failing. I don't understand Vince being recalled.
No.
Don't understand it.
No, nor do I. Right, I'll start in his defence. He's been dropped for averaging...
He's got one, has he?
Yeah. That is the funniest moment of the podcast we've ever had. Witty.
We've got low standards for humour.
Okay, in his defence, he's failed time and time again, averaging 20. He's gone to county cricket and he's gone and scored a bag load of runs. Fair play, mate. Fair play. You can't do anything more than that. England selection... Oh my God, it's like trying to learn computer code. You've no idea what you're reading, you've no idea what you're pressing, and you've no idea what the output's going to be. And that's what we get with the England selection when we try and guess who's going to come back in. Like, we spoke about it with David Milan and the mediocrity about averaging mid-20s after 10 test matches and how it's not a thing and it's not good enough, and that's why England keep failing in this top order and keep getting rolled over. And James Vince is the epitome of mediocrity at test match level. And I'm absolutely right to say that, because he's had more than enough opportunity to go and change my mind. And he can't change my mind, he can't change your mind, he can't change the mind of anyone listening, and he can't change the mind of anyone that's watched him play test cricket, because the man averages less than 25 in 13 test matches.
Yeah, but he looks. But boy, does he look a Test player when he's playing well. When he's hitting that four, crunching one through covers. Rob, he looks like a Test player.
What a
And
comment.
Michael Vaughan says he looks like a Test player as well. But Michael Vaughan likes him. I think that's the only reason he got the call up for the Ashes, because Vaughan started getting in his corner.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't
bizarre.
look a Test player at this level where you've got pros? Who, when they smash 100 and looks $1 million, doesn't look a Test player?
If you keep bowling half volleys to Chris Wokes, he could open the batting for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you start dropping a few short ones, yeah, maybe he's not quite the future batting at six for England. That's not criticising Wokes, but it's just giving an example. We all look amazing when someone bowls you a half volley that you can crunch back out down the ground. Vince undoubtedly is a talented player, but he's a talented county player. He's had his opportunity, and England, we're not in a position where we have Hayden and Langer opening the batting, or Cook and Strauss opening the batting, where we are absolutely solid. We've got Trott at 3. In that side, I could see James Vince batting at number 5.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. I've got no problem with that. Maybe he can come on back when about 60 overs and bat for 20, 30, 40 overs and get himself a hatful. But this, just the way it works. His time came when it did. He failed twice. But because he looks like a nice player, they want to keep persevering. And this is what annoys me with the England selection a little bit. It seems to me that they're just going back to the same well of players they like. Moeen Ali, I like him as a cricketer, but he was dropped out of the squad. He was dropped from the team for damn good reasons. But credit to him, though, he has gone away recently and he has scored runs. Now, in his last first-class game, 4-day game, he played against Yorkshire, took 2 for 40 and 6 for 49, so 8 for 89, and he scored 219. So, okay, man in form, I can understand the selection. The previous first-class game back in July, he took 8 wickets in the game, scored 30-odd runs. So, I can understand why he's back in the squad, especially on the back of the fact that they like him so much, and it does seem like they just want to keep crowbarring the players they like back into the team. It's just a bit of a machine gun approach, isn't it? A scattergun approach, isn't it, to selection? And there doesn't seem to be any link, any sort of theme going through it, other than it's a bit confusing.
Yeah, I love the days where you could write down your 1 to 12 who's going to be in the squad for all 5 Test matches during that period where we were pretty good, and you knew what you could set your watch by. Now, there's just absolutely no rhyme or reason to what's going on. They've brought in James Vince. James Vince, the likelihood is Johnny Bairstow is going to bat at 4, and he's declared himself fit, so Vince isn't even going to play.
Yeah.
If they went with James Vince in this middle order, what does it say to anyone else that's gone out there and scored a bagload of runs all county season who deserves a call-up to an England side at some point? And what about the fact that we're not even... The biggest problem with this England batting lineup is we can't play the new ball. We are always 2 wickets down, which puts pressure on this middle order, and then they flounder. Why are we not? We've got Rory Burns, 961 runs in county championship cricket. Why are we still going with Keaton Jennings?
Yeah, well, that's another question. At the start of this series, I said I just don't like his technique. I don't like the way he plays. He doesn't really look like he's adapted his game at all from when he had his previous go. I just don't understand it personally. But look, let's not kind of kill them too much. It's all to play for, isn't it? England are still winning 2-1. Joe Root reminded us all about that the other day. Fair play to Joe Root. We did play pretty well in 2 tests, but we still had these question marks. Wins only paper over the cracks for so long. The cracks will always show again, won't they, eventually? So it does just confuse me. Another thing about selection, Jamie Porter, it took a shed load of wickets over the last couple of years. He's just quietly been just dropped out the edge of the squad. He's no longer in the squad anymore. So, we thought that maybe he might get himself a go at some point, but obviously it doesn't look like that at the moment. And, to be fair, where would you play him? If this is going to be a big turner down on the south coast, it's the GS Bowl, isn't it, this test match? Yeah. Then obviously, Rashid's in there, Ali's in there, but Rashid, he's not done a heck of a lot this series so far. If Ali's coming into the squad on the back of taking 8 wickets in a game, do we need second spinner? It'll be interesting to see what this pitch is like. If by the end of this test match, Adil Rashid has bowled about 20 overs. In the test, then really we could have gone ahead with an extra bowler, couldn't we? But Porter obviously wasn't in the squad, so there's no chance of allowing him that. I don't know, maybe that's overkill with the bowlers, but you know what I mean. It's just, again, the squad was what it was, and now it's suddenly, we're kind of chopping and changing, no real consistency. But the players that do look like they need a bit of a change, a bit of a freshen up, the ones that are kind of still getting a run. So kind of looking ahead into this one though, Rob, massive question marks over Cook and Jennings still. Cook, we love him to pieces. We can't say it enough. The man's a hero. He's going to be one of the all-time greats. Just look at his record. But there is a huge question mark and pressure being applied on that top three. There is talk now about why not back Cook at 3? Bring in another opener. If you need to bring in a pair of openers, back Cook at 3. Let him just a bit of time off from that new ball and get a new partnership up and running. Rather than it being Cook the senior partner with a junior partner. Get a couple coming in, taking over that job who you think are going to do it long term. Bairstow, Stokes, I think they're both a little bit high for my liking. I'd like to probably see them both drop down one. But yeah, question marks are there, aren't they? But we go ahead to this test, and you got to hope England can get a result, because otherwise, if it goes 2-2, I can't see us digging ourselves out of a hole for the 5th test.
No, my problem with this England team is we've got a team of some wonderful all-rounders and not many specialised players, and it frustrates me. I agree, Stokes is too high. I still agree that Stokes would be a natural fit for a number 7 in a good England team. Have a solid top 6 and then allow him to play his natural game. Bairstow, he's a number 6. I feel we're really stretching and we're trying to paper over the cracks saying we're 2-1 up. We're 2-1 up because of Jimmy Anderson. Jimmy Anderson is on fire this series. He has taken 17 wickets at an average of 14 and a strike rate of 39. There is no one near him. Sharma's the next man with 11 wickets and Broady's got 10 wickets. Jimmy Anderson is fundamental to the reason we won those first 2 games, not the top 6. If I just look at the England top 6, sorry to rant, not sorry to rant.
No.
Bairstow, 206 runs at 41. He's having a decent return to himself, and one of those innings he had a broken digit. Joss Buttler, 170 runs at an average of 34. Now, if he's batting at 7, I look at that and go, that's pretty good. That's excellent. That's what I want from a number 7.
I'm sensing 6, a butt. Can I just sense I was going to sense a butt then. Joss Buttler, 106 runs in 1 innings, though.
Yes.
In 4 innings, he scored, 64 runs, hasn't he? So
yeah. There's 4 fails in there, so not quite sold on it. Next top scorer, Chris Wokes. Next top scorer, Joe Root, 142 runs at an average of 28 with 150. Joe Root is struggling at number 3 at the moment. Next top scorer, Sam Curran. Next top scorer, Ben Stokes, 99 runs from 4 innings. The top 6 doesn't work. I've got to go really down this list until I get to Keaton Jennings with 94 runs from 5 innings of the summer.
Ooh, Jennings and Cook, they've both got good bowling averages, haven't they?
Yeah, excellent bowling averages. One's averaging 24 and one's averaging 22. Ollie Pope averaging 18.
Jennings is 18, mate. I think you read Stokes there. 18.8 for Jennings and Cook 16.
Oh,
it gets worse. We tried to do Jennings a favour there, didn't we? But
even I can't do that very well. I find this England batting lineup frustrating. I really hope England show up and do go and score some runs. I look at this lineup and I go, if it's a beautiful batting deck and you've got Bairstow, Buttler, Stokes, Moeen Ali, oh man, you can go and score some good runs. You can really score some good runs and you can score them fast. Getting towards the end of summer in England, if it's a little bit overcast, I think this England batting lineup are going to struggle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out, isn't it? It's just, I'm not convinced. India take the momentum. We keep talking about that. It's so important. And I think if Jennings doesn't score a run, it has to be a change. We can't just give him five tests just for the sake of it, just because he's one of their favourites.
Yeah, can't do it. Can't do it, mate. Yeah. Can't. Yeah. I
Yeah.
won't even watch. If England bat first on the fifth test and he's starting, I'm not watching that game.
Yeah. Virat Kohli, 440 runs in 6 innings. He's got 4 more innings. There's another couple of 100 runs in him at least, isn't there?
Yeah. What a specimen of a human being he is. He's got a great looking beard. He's a good fielder. He's vegan. He likes training in the gym and he scores bags of runs. He's like the perfect Instagram man.
Yeah, something like that. I didn't know where you were going with that. I just kind of was just stepping back and letting you kind of run on your own on there. But yeah, good looking boy.
Yeah, India are struggling in the top 6, but they're bouncing back and they're learning. Whereas England, Oh, the slip cordon. I've not even touched on the slip cordon, Rich. What?
You dropped that one, didn't you?
Oh, I did drop that one. That's 2 in an episode. We are getting funny.
Oh, flying. Oh, let's cut it off. Let's get to the end now.
Yeah,
so, hopefully,
where do we go?
We don't have to.
Where do we go? What's the score going to be, Rich? That's where we need to go. Who's going to win this fourth test?
It's a blooming good question. I think I'm going to do exactly the same as what I did with the prediction of the third test. I went with who had the momentum. I know it doesn't mean everything. Momentum can be the toss. Momentum can be the first hour of a test match. That's what sets you up to win or lose a game. But I can't look past India at the minute. I got a feeling that India's going to bat first again. Especially if they win the toss. If England win the toss and stick India in, and India get a big score, then I think I'm just going to go and climb to a high building and go jump. But it's. Yeah, I think India is going to get this one, and I think it's going to be set up beautifully for the fifth test, and then we'll take another decision. My prediction at the start was 3-2, still on, to England, should I say, 3-2 to England. But I think it's going to be 2-2, and I think it's going to be an absolute belter going into the fifth test.
Yeah, I'm all in with you there, mate. I think this Indian team is going to wrap it up. I really see this England team going to struggle. I think we've got too many left-handers in the lineup for Ishant Sharma bowling superb around the wicket and Ashwin bowling around the wicket as well. I think we're going to struggle. I think India are going to win. I think Virat Kohli... here we go. The money one. Virat Kohli is going to score 100. There you go. Who would have guessed it?
Jeez, brave predictions. Anyone else got a brave prediction for this test match? Virat Kohli's going to score big.
And dropping knowledge, Virat Kohli... 69.23% conversion rate to a century, which makes him the best of all time, as opposed to the worst, Shane Watson, second worst, Joe Root.
Just quickly digressing, Shane Watson, I used to love it. I used to actually love watching him get to 40, because he's quite a nice player to watch back, but you knew he was going to nick off in the 40s. It was brilliant. And then you could always hear him on stump microphone going, "Oh no, nicked one or LBW one." He almost used to give himself out on LBW, that massive pad.
But he'd always refer it every time. One of the worst referrers in. There's a podcast for itself. The worst cricket referrals.
Oh dear, there's going to be a lot of Indian players in there, I reckon. As well.
So we're all excited. It's the fourth test. It's starting tonight, New Zealand time, in about 2.5 hours. It's starting your morning in the UK in about 2.5 hours, and we're both going for an India win. So comment below, guys, and let us know what you think the result of the fourth test match. I'm putting the big money out there again, Rich. I'm going to say the Indian guys say they're going to win, and the English guys say India are going to win. So.
It goes back and forth, isn't it? Who knows? But I'm delighted though that this series is turning into the series we all hoped and expected it to be. You don't give India 5 tests in England if they're going to come over and play like they did in the first test. They were okay, but second test they were really, really poor. So this is what we wanted. This is what the cricket public wanted to see. And we want to see England be challenged. This is the number 1 test team in the world. This should be massive. Yep. This should be that England have got to bring their absolute A game to try and beat the best team in the world. And India are starting to show why they're up there, aren't they? That bowling attack, it's something else, isn't it? And it's going to take everything for this England batting lineup to stand up and say, actually, we're not good enough for this. We can keep playing test cricket for England. That's the big question. That's the battle, isn't it? Anderson, how does he go against Virat Kohli? 47 false shots played or something like that, and he's yet to dismiss Virat Kohli, which is remarkable. I think that's probably more to do with slip catching, and we were talking about, wasn't it, the brilliant ability of Virat Kohli to just miss the ball. He's that talented a player when he's playing and missing. And then it's all about that top order of England, isn't it? A top 3 or 4. Are they going to kind of nullify this bowling attack of India and actually start standing up and be counted?
I can't wait. I cannot wait, Rich. Good podcast as always. The funniest podcast we've had as always. There's been one-liners left, right and centre. Excellent time. Thank you so much for your time, Rich. We'll catch you guys next time.